Base is dropped on another round of soccer down here for your Tuesday, and we actually have, in addition to everybody's Tuesday thoughts, we're going to go back into what your thoughts were after Salty Takeaways on Monday, and we are also going to take a look back at some of the craziness, and that's, for lack of a better word, that's the only thing I can think of for a lot of the action that happened in the previous match week, and we actually have matches tonight. So we will have a bit of a midweek whip around, just a Tuesday whip around. It's only 2 matches, so does it really, I don't know how much of a whip around it is, but nevertheless, we'll have a bit of a Tuesday whip around with the 2 matches coming up tonight. We'll have a midweek whip around tomorrow, as well as we're getting ready for action in the midweek. But first and foremost, before we get into everything that's on your mind and everything that's on everyone's mind here for Tuesday Thoughts, time for the opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And you can follow along Kickoff Coffee CO on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Thanks to everyone who has been investing in Kickoff Coffee so far. And it's been a tremendous just tremendous interest, really, from all of you folks who have been prepping your morning rituals and having Kickoff Coffee as a part of it. So thank you very much for doing that as a part of your mornings here, hanging out with us here at SDH. And quick reminder, don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. Use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase for however much Kickoff Coffee you invest in. And on the investment side for Kickoff Coffee, remember that what they do is they turn around and put 10% of their proceeds into youth development. So that's, once again, a very, very cool thing that we're seeing with youth development and with what Kickoff Coffee is doing with a lot of their investments, a lot of their time, a lot of their efforts. So once again, Soccer Down Here 15, that's your code to invest in Kickoff Coffee. And at the same time, what you will get in return is 10% of their investments is funneled back toward youth development. So very, very cool stuff. Soccer Down Here 15, 10% is funneled back into youth development, stuff that we really like to talk about, and it's great to see here at Soccer Down Here. Going backward this week, we're getting into the finals for the NPSL, and it's, once again, it's a familiar face, and on Thursday afternoon and leading into Friday, we'll be catching up with the participants for the NPSL Championship in FC Motown and Crossfire Redmond. And so Crossfire Redmond makes it all the way through. FC Motown makes it all the way through. And so it's going to be that for your NPSL final. And what we will also do is, we'll keep an eye on USL League 2, and we'll keep an eye on championships there as well, as they are getting into their final numbers. But once again, just a reminder, we have yet another championship coming up this weekend with FC Motown and with Crossfire Redmond. So great to see a new face chasing after a championship in the NPSL. But FC Motown, we've known, and we know that Appalachian FC's season ended at Drew University with FC Motown a couple of weeks back. But we know what FC Motown is capable of doing with all of the experience that they have when they invest on a yearly basis, as they do in the NPSL. So it'll be the new face in Crossfire Redmond and the old established face with FC Motown chasing after the championship in the NPSL. We'll have more coverage on that one later on in the week. But just to remind you that we got a championship coming up around the corner, and it's very, very cool to be able to cover championships as well as we do here, thanks to the NPSL themselves for helping us out in that regard. But once again, championship around the corner, and I will add this to the stacks of everything that we talk about when it comes to, just for the sake of it being a championship game. I know that we all have things that we're keeping an eye on the weekend, and I know that Atlanta United's got Seattle, and we also have all of our other matchups and things like that. But even if you watch it on a tape-delayed basis, anything, when it comes to any championship on any level, and it kind of goes back to what we talk about with Kickoff Coffee and development of the game itself, whether it's youth development when it comes to younger sides, or when it comes to developing franchises in summer leagues like we're seeing with a team like FC Motown. So if you have a chance to go back and catch up, and if you have other things on your mind like Atlanta United or your favorite MLS side or your favorite USL side, and can circle back and catch a championship game for the sake of it being a championship game so you can see what it means to those athletes just as much. Championship in the NPSL coming up this weekend, so it'll be interesting to take a peek at yet another championship, two teams chasing after a title, and we all know how important titles are. So that is your early look at your Tuesday opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com, and you can once again use the code SoccerDownHere15. The darker blends and roasts are what the boss seems to like these days. So once again, SoccerDownHere15 is your code, and you get 15% off your purchase no matter what level of purchase you have. But also at the same time, remember the 10% of their proceeds end up heading toward youth development and the youth development aspect of the game. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Championship coming up just around the corner in the summer leagues for the NPSL. Let's go back into the week that was, and first and foremost, I want to address once again everybody who reached out on Twitter, as you guys always do. And once again, thanks for doing that to continue to have our conversations kind of just flow over the span of a week. And once again, thanks to everybody who reaches out. And the biggest thing is just to continue to have these kind of conversations and, continue the back and forth as we always do on a weekly basis. But going back to what everybody was thinking with salty takeaways and the original thoughts that we had. A couple of you, Katie Weaver, Shiva, and Emilio, chimed in. So let's kind of get into that before we get into the other teams in Major League Soccer and get you ready for the Tuesday Whiparound with all the fun facts that are locked in with those particular matchups. Katie, do y'all feel that currently the first team group are playing in their best positions, i.e. it feels like Pineda's caught between trying to put individual players in best positions to succeed with mixed results and a more pragmatic results-first approach? Neither has really hit. Katie, I would look at it this way. When we see formations on a screen and they show up on a weekly basis, and the biggest thing, we'll sit there and we get locked into whether it's a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2 or a 4-3-3 or whatever, whatever it looks like formationally on a television graphic. I've kind of just gotten to the point to where you look at these, and the graphic really only sits there and lets you know how things will be up until the point where the whistle blows and everything is circulating, and then you adjust to the offense that's out there and you adjust to the defense that's out there too. So, I mean, you can sit there and come up with general tendencies when it comes to individuals and what it looks like for them out there. But when it comes to formations, and this is also something that that I look into a lot when it comes to all of these particular pieces of talent that Atlanta United has and that they've assembled, I don't necessarily look at them playing in their best positions. I look at them as things that they do, and you sit there and you're trying to figure out, all right, so what is the imagination of this individual piecing together? So that's what you're looking at when it comes to these folks. I mean, that Ronaldo Cisneros, he's going to be up top. You know that Joseph Martinez is going to be up top, but then Joseph once again will help fill in, and Ronaldo will help fill in as well when it comes to things defensively. They'll work their way backward, play a little deeper sometimes, help out on set pieces, that kind of thing. Luis Araujo, I think, works better on the wing, and especially when he's inverted, if you want to put it that way, where he ends up like on the right-hand side and he gets to set up things with his left foot. So I think that if he's on the right-hand side working his way in initially, that's what we're used to seeing. Then you have Marcelino Moreno working on the left-hand side, Thiago Almada working basically trying to find pockets of space. Luis is trying to find pockets of space. Almada's trying to find pockets of space. Marcelino Moreno, once again, working to try to find those places where he can have his artistry go. So I don't necessarily look at things in the sense of positioning when it comes to what you're seeing right now with all this firepower with Atlantic. And I know that you want to have all of those DPs out there. And once again, you remember that once again, we haven't had those three DPs on the pitch together since basically a month ago. So you're looking at all of these different aspects when it comes to all this firepower that's there for Atlanta United. So it's all of these individuals, they're able to do certain things, but I don't necessarily lock them into certain, I don't necessarily put them into certain holes when it comes to what we're seeing from them. I visualize Marcelino Moreno working on the left-hand side, and then sometimes he switches to the right, because we've seen that, especially you go back to the Orlando match when he drew the foul inside the 18, which I thought was a penalty. He was on the right-hand side on that particular moment. So it's moments with these where you sense if one switches, the other one will switch in return. So I don't know if they're necessarily – I'm not locked into the whole idea of there being best positions and putting it in that way. Best position to succeed for me is to let these artists find their way with each other. And if that means that Luis is on the right-hand side and he ends up cutting to the inside, and you have the overlapping run from Aiden McFadden on the right-hand side to help things out on the right wing, or if you have Luis doing the same on the left-hand side, or if you have Almada doing it on the left-hand side with Caleb Wiley working over there with Marcelino or what have you. It's just the idea of still trying to figure out, and I know that you get to do this on a daily basis on the training pitch, but those relationships, I think they're still forming, and as they are continuing to form, we got into the idea of what we're seeing with a lot of these guys, and it takes time. So I don't know if that makes sense, but you're kind of dealing with things in two different ways. The relationships with all the DPs and everyone trying to be as creative as possible and try to, for one reason, for one aspect of this, try to figure out what works within the artistry that's there. So that for me is first and foremost. So like I said, I don't get tied into the positioning idea. But there are times, I think, that, and this might be against teams, and I don't have the empirical evidence off the top of my head, but the idea of being pragmatic and getting results, and it was something that Gonzalo Pineda had admitted to, if I remember, after the Orlando match, where he thought that they needed to kind of dial things back a little bit to go forward and succeed. And so, if you're doing things a certain way and then you feel like, okay, we might have stepped too far, we have to dial things back and then try to figure out where to go from here. You're trying to figure out how you can best use the talent that's there and put yourself in that biggest position to succeed, like you're trying to have here with your question. So I guess it's twofold. With the positions, I don't necessarily get wrapped up into the idea of locking someone into a particular spot, because you let your imagination carry you and you feel like you can create and do one thing or another. But I think that when it comes to the more pragmatic approaches, it might be more along those lines where you're playing a 4-3-3, but then if there are two strikers going up against you, then you want to have that one. You want to have that one more defender that's there, and then adjust in game if you are fairly confident that you are getting to assert your will and you have most of the control of the match. And so I think that. And I think I know what you were getting at with being more pragmatic is the 3-5-2 versus a 4-3-3 kind of a thing. So I would look at that on a match-by-match basis, and then I would, take it and apply it to, does the team that they're playing against have, does the team that we are playing against, if you're Atlanta United, do they in turn have more than one striker, which would mean that if you want to defend, then you want to have that one extra person back, and basically it would be 3 center backs. You have your 2 wing backs, and then you have the 4 in attack, and then you've got Hasetsu and a holding. So I think that it would end up being something for when the 3-5-2 versus a 4-3-3, where that might be the more pragmatic approach, where you don't want to have these one-on-one matchups. You want to have that one more individual back there to defend. So I guess that's kind of where I'm leaning at when it comes to that pragmatic idea. Keep an eye on teams that Atlanta United's facing that have a lot of firepower up top, specifically 2 strikers that want to work their way forward. Then you might see that more pragmatic approach of a 3-5-2 versus a 4-3-3. Hopefully that made sense. If it didn't, just reach out to me and we'll talk about it again later on. Shiva, in your opinion, what's the best lineup for our attack? Is it still our 3 DPs and we just need to see them play more because, in my opinion, they're not producing goals? Right, they're not. And so, you look at them not producing goals, but when you have Thiago Almada, who integrates later than the other 2 DPs, and then he has the suspension, and you lose that time in game state. Yes, you get it during practices on a daily basis, that you lose game state in trying to have those relationships work their way forward with Joseph and Luis, and with Thiago Almada, with Marcelino Moreno. And I think that what you want, Shiva, obviously, is you want to have those guys with that imagination up there up front with Luis, with Thiago. And all you have to do is look at Michael Parker's Twitter to see that Michael Parkhurst is impressed with what he's seen from Thiago Almada. Then, you're trying to figure out what you want to do up top. Is it a situation where, like we saw with, I think it was the Orlando match at home, where you had the goal with Ronaldo Cisneros combining with Thiago Almada, and it's a matter of the defense and the ball in behind, where Ronaldo Cisneros can go ahead and anticipate and get to a spot with the ball that's being sent in from behind, where you can run in behind the defenders and take advantage of your speed versus their lack of speed. I think that lineup for the attack, you're going to have to look at it from a case-by-case basis. Are you going to need someone who runs in behind and can get behind the defense? Or, can you work in build-up? And so I think that literally it's going to have to be a case-by-case, game-by-game basis to figure out who it's going to be in the attack. You want Thiago Almada to be a part of it. You want Luis Araujo to be a part of it. Then it comes into the ideas with everyone else, with what you can have with Marcelino, with Joseph, and with Ronaldo Cisneros. And so I think that literally it's look at the opponent, see what their defense can give you, and then figure out what you can do with the players that you have on a game-by-game basis with those folks that are there that you have that you can work with. So just, keep an eye on the opposition. And, with Seattle's got issues at the back. And so maybe this is a situation where you run with the 2 strikers up top to try to continue to pressure and try to work things in behind. And you've got Thiago Almada working in behind the defense that's there, because remember, you have, and we'll talk to Nico Moreno about this in anticipation of this match on the weekend on Thursday afternoon. But I want to see what Nico thinks about his back line and what it comes to when you have Atlanta working with their speed on that surface against Seattle, who has really been struggling. So best thing I can say, Shiva, is just take it on a case-by-case basis, but understanding that you have all of this firepower that's available to you that you can really work with. And then the third one on the board was from Emilio, agreeing with the take on Salty about Cincinnati, Columbus, and Orlando can fall out. 6 teams for 3 spots, absolutely. You don't see enough wins after the NYCFC game. You thought it was possible to go winless into mid-August, not far off. Unfortunately, right now, yeah, that's the case. And so, as we continue to maintain that you can look at all of these individuals that, that Atlanta United has to hopscotch over, all these teams that you have to hopscotch over, and then figure out how best to get results between now and then. I think that it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 38 to 40 points that will get you into the playoffs. And so that means that, that Atlanta United's got some work to do. Bottom line, they've got some work to do. They know that. And it's going to take that first step against a struggling Seattle team. And it's going to be on a full house, a full house. And so, I want to make a quick reminder about that too. Quick reminder, full house on Saturday. And this is going to be a game where the Atlanta United is really going to need the power of the 17s. And, if you know people who haven't thought about going yet, let them go so they can experience all this kind of stuff. Recommend that they would go from the tailgating experience, everything forward, because it is going to be a full house available to Atlanta United and the fans in the 17s. And you really want this to be that cauldron that has been difficult for other folks to go up against Seattle. And I think that this is a game. Obviously, you want to win all of your games at home in the first place, but I think this is a game, because of what we're seeing with a struggling Seattle side, that can be had. So look at it in that way, and just recommend that, if you got friends who haven't thought about going, send them, because the guys are going to need all the help that you can bring them when it comes to the 17s on Saturday. So, unfortunately, Emilio, you weren't far off, but I think that what you can do, once again, you've got to take care of your business at home, and it should start this weekend. So that's the thoughts from everybody that has sent stuff in, and thank you for always doing this and sending in your thoughts so we can have the back and forth during the week that we do. I really appreciate it, and if I've missed somebody's thoughts, please send them in. And we'll continue to talk about them all week long with all the other programming that we have going on. We still have a lot of stuff to talk about. So it's all good as Atlanta United gets ready for their match against Seattle on the weekend. And, as we look forward into the Tuesday Whiparound, which, it's not quite a midweek Whiparound. I guess that would technically be the 2 matches on your Wednesday. Just looking at where things stand, you had 2 goals that had 8 goals in them each, both of them draws, both of them, and frankly, one of the results really helps out Atlanta United with Cincinnati and Inter Miami drawing, so they don't draw that much away from you. DC United getting the 2 goals in stoppage time, down 1-0, win 2-1. Where have you heard that before from DC United and Orlando City? DC United a home dog at a plus 181. So here's how that match ended on your Sunday, courtesy of our friends at Major League Soccer and the local providers there in D.C. and Orlando, NBC Sports Washington and Fox 35 in Orlando City.
Smith for Kamara. Ola Kamara. Arujo marking Durkin coming through. It's in the net. Oh, it's in the net. There it is. There it is. Chris Durkin, the goal. DC United the tie.
Camardi Smith just being influential here. As he drive towards the middle, and this could be a no doubt rebuke, but Ola Kamara finds himself 1v1 situation and does a tremendous job just shuffling over to his left, and then he picks out Chris Durkin. The ball's got pace behind it, not easy to handle for Durkin, but he does it ever so well. Just makes solid contact. The pace behind the ball is going to allow the ball hitting off Durkin's foot to have the power, just make the accuracy correct, and he did just that.
Rodriguez.
11 players, they're set back. DC United break them down now.
For the ball for Camardi Smith. Taxi Futas. Oh, it's in the net. It is in the net. It is in the net. Taxi Cat. DC United can. Wayne Rooney can. United with the lead.
Orlando set defensively. Rodriguez just pings the ball across the field to Camarney Smith, who has been so influential since coming on. And he takes it first time out of the air, pings it back across into the penalty spot. And it's who else than Taxi Funtas, who had missed what appeared to be a sitter earlier in the second half with a brilliant of a finish with the left boot.
A hard Durkin. And that's it. The whistle sounds. The crowd explodes. DC United wins. Do you believe it? Wayne Rooney's back. Of course you believe it.
So DC gets the win over Orlando City. Like I said, let me know where you've heard the idea of DC being down to Orlando City and then coming back and getting the Duke at the death. So DC United once again with that win snaps a four-game winless streak. They're at 21 points, 21 matches played, and so once again that grouping. Now from 5 to 14, separated by 9 points. 5 to 14, separated by 9 points. Atlanta United, 4 points out of a playoff spot, 5 points out of fifth. And that's where we are right now. In the Eastern Conference, as we get into the matches for your Tuesday. And so I guess this is the Tuesday Whiparound, and it is patent pending, trademark coming, hopefully. And as you look at the two matches that are in your Tuesday juice boxes, 7:30, and this is the other part of this that's going to be really, really wild because Seattle is playing Dallas on Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Then they have to fly across country for a Saturday afternoon kick with Atlanta United. Red Bulls in Colorado. Right now, Red Bulls, 7:30 kick, minus 149 at home. Colorado is a plus 380, and your draw is a plus 301. Fun facts, by the way. When you look at this particular match, this will be the first meeting between Red Bulls and Rapids since August of 2019 when Colorado won 2-0 at Red Bull Arena. The 12 meetings between the sides since 2010 have seen each team win 4 times and draw 4, though Colorado's win at New York in 2019 is their only road victory in that span, 3 draws and 3 losses. Red Bulls saw their 6-match home unbeaten run with those 3 wins and 3 draws in with a 1-0 defeat to New York City in their last home match, July 17th. Red Bulls haven't dropped consecutive home matches since a 3-match losing streak in September of 2020. Colorado winless in their first 10 away matches this season, 3 draws, 7 losses, one of 2 teams without an away win in 2022. The other one's Toronto FC. The Rapids have gone longer into a season without a road win only once, failing to win in any of their first 13 away matches in 2017. 4 players to score for Red Bulls in their 4-3 win over Austin on July 25th. Serge Ngoma, Drew Yearwood, Cameron Harper, and Tom Barlow had a combined 12 goals and 157 MLS appearances entering the match. So, yeah, that was absolutely crazy. But looking at the juice boxes in this one, got to go with Red Bulls at that minus 149. So we'll see what the Red Bulls can do at 7:30 on your Tuesday night. 10 o'clock, this was the first interesting part of the discussion that we had with Seattle and FC Dallas. Seattle at home, a minus 116. Your draw is a plus 272. And FC Dallas is a plus 301. Yes, I am leaning towards Seattle in this particular match because Dallas road form just has not been very good, frankly. And so looking at the fun facts, Seattle are unbeaten in 15 straight home matches against FC Dallas, 12 wins, 3 draws, including the playoffs, with the only Dallas win coming in Seattle in May of 2011. There have been only 4 longer home unbeaten runs against a single team in MLS history, including the playoffs. Sounders suffered their 4th loss in 5 matches, only 1 win with that 2-1 defeat at LAFC on Friday. Seattle has 11 defeats through 22 games this season, having lost more over a full season just 3 times in the club's MLS history. Dallas has won consecutive matches after recording just 1 win in their previous 10 MLS matches, 4 draws, 5 losses. Dallas hasn't won 3 straight league games since October and November of 2020. Jordan Morris scored in the Seattle's last home match. the 2-1 win over the Rapids on July 23rd. Since the start of the 2019 season, 23 of Morris's 30 MLS goals, including playoffs, have been scored at home, including 7 of the last 8. And so we'll keep an eye on that. That one is on ESPN+, and it's on local providers on both sides, Fox 13 Plus and TXA 21. So once again, not necessarily a surprise, but yeah, I'm going to go with the home favorites here. But once again, remember, Seattle playing late Tuesday night, having to probably hop on a plane as a part of Regen on Wednesday. Or a Regen on Wednesday, light training Thursday, flying Friday to be in Atlanta Saturday for that 3 o'clock kick for Atlanta United and Seattle Sounders. So challenging week for Seattle, having to make up matches as they are a plus 116 on the board. So really, really interesting there. Another one of the subplots this week with the schedule makers when it comes to Major League Soccer.
And now since we're here at halftime, I guess it's time to cut a promo kind of thing. So here we go, and it's going to do with our friends at Eliminize Service. Eliminize is for odor-free, clean, fresh air, only place that you need to go. And you can ask for their help by going to the website, eliminize.com. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize Service as a turnkey process, helps them turn their properties that much faster. And it's definitely the way to go if you're looking to make sure that your air in your domicile or your office is the way that it's supposed to be. So better than masking agents, attacks everything all the way down to the molecule with a proven scientific formula. So if you're looking for more information on our friends at Eliminize and Eliminize Service, go to the website, eliminize.com. But do us a favor after the .com. Go to and adding the /Atlanta, if you would, please. So it's eliminize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Eliminize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. Let's get into some of the news and notes here in the morning. And Jarrett will be here on the network a little later. Once again, reminder that you've got our USL content, the week in review, the review previews for both League One and for the USL Championship. They'll be up a little later on this morning for you to listen to get you ready for some midweek action in USL League One and in USL Championship. So very, very busy times in the USL, and you can catch up with both leagues with our content coming up in just a little bit. So when you look at the transfer market and you look at everything going on right now, Manchester United, and we'll cruise through the papers first before we get into some of the news and some disappointing stuff out of the NWSL that we'll get into in just a little bit as well, with the modern day elements of attempting to bring in sponsors coming up and working its way against the NWSL. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. But looking at our friends at The Athletic, Premier League clubs have been given the green light to arrange friendlies during the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. And Premier League Chief Executive Richard Masters has questioned whether Roman Abramovich would have been allowed to purchase Chelsea if an owners and directors test was in place at the time. Interesting question being brought forth by Richard Masters now, but with Bowley Clearlake trying to steer the ship in a direction that they can to function and chase after championships in the Premier League. Interesting thought by Richard Masters this morning. The new Prime Minister, according to the Daily Telegraph, will try to bring the Women's World Cup to the UK following England's European Championship triumph. And the 100 will use extra stewards and additional cameras to clamp down on antisocial behavior at matches. Daily Mirror, Manchester United, and this is the Daily Mirror's words, not mine. Manchester United risk upsetting Cristiano Ronaldo further with plans to replace him with Frankie de Jong as the club's highest-earning player this season. Arsenal, close to selling Lucas Torreira to Galatasaray and completing his long-awaited departure from the club, drawing a close to a £129 million spending spree. Jorge Mendes, once again, being paired with Cristiano Ronaldo's information here with the national crisis attached to it. Jorge Mendes has reportedly told Manchester United to name their price for Cristiano Ronaldo as he attempts to get the Portugal forward out of Old Trafford. Neymar has appeared to pour cold water on a reported fallout at PSG over teammate Kylian Mbappe. Over at The Guardian, Idrissa Gueye is close to rejoining Everton from PSG. The midfielder has traveled to the Merseyside for a medical in anticipation of completing the deal as clubs negotiate the final details. Arsenal keeper Bernd Leno poised to join Fulham. We talked about that last week after the clubs have reached an agreement of personal terms were settled. Once again, last week, remember, it was in the neighborhood of about £8 million. Leicester expect Arsenal to move for Yuri Tielemans, but are yet to receive any offers for the midfielder. And Kasper Schmeichel heading to Ligue 1 with over a dozen years of work. He's set to go to Nice, and Leicester have yet to make a signing to replace him. So interesting information and interesting moves with Leicester and Brendan Rodgers. According to the Times, let's see what's going on with the Times involving football recordings of conversations, and I thought this was interesting. This is from Martin Ziegler. Recordings of conversations between referees and VAR will be made available to the public after matches under a Premier League plan. Frankly, and we talked about this before. Frankly, I would like for it to actually be somewhat live. I don't think you'll get to that point, but I think that it would be interesting in the process so folks can understand what the rationale was when it came to figuring out, why a decision was a certain way. The FA is planning contract extension talks with Serena Wiegman when the England women's manager returns from holiday. And Brendan Rodgers says Leicester will not be exploited, his word, into selling Wesley Fofana or James Maddison. Fofana has removed Leicester City, the two words Leicester City, from his social media bio. So read into that whatever you like. James Maddison, right now, Leicester is looking for something in the neighborhood of £60 million, 50 to £60 million for Maddison to be moved. The initial bid from Newcastle, I want to say, was in the 30 to 35 range. Leicester basically laughed that one off the table. So we'll see what the next move is where James Maddison is concerned with a possible new home. Daily Record, David Martindale was brought into the news this morning. Adamant there's no split loyalties when his Livingston team face Rangers and insists he's choking to take points off the Ibrox side. So and then Charlton Athletic winger Charlie Kirk has emerged as a transfer target for Hibs. Looking at your transfer news, Diogo Jota signs a long-term Liverpool contract extension. So once again, with what we saw from Diogo Jota coming out of the blocks with his time at Liverpool, that was an absolute no-brainer for them to lock him up for the longest time. Quote, it's a reward for good form. Suggests it's a deal which will act as an incentive for other players at the club. You want to keep the band together, you want to make them happy, then that's definitely a way to do it. West Ham have held initial talks with Burnley over the signing of Burnley winger Maxwell Cornet, thought to favor a loan for the 25-year-old Ivory Coast international. Cornet was not involved in the Burnley squad for their first match in the 1-0 win over Huddersfield Town last Friday, and Vincent Kompany said that Cornet was not at the right physical level. Everton were in talks about signing Cornet last month, understood to have a $17.5 million release clause in his contract. So Cornet could be heading toward West Ham. Cesc Fabregas, if you've seen the photos of the stadium that he's going to be playing at in Serie B, more power to you when you're on your way and trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life and you're wrapping up your time as a player. Definitely playing in a place like that for Serie B. Very, very strong. Well done. Crystal Palace have agreed on a fee with Larna FC to sign defender Kofi Balmer, the 21-year-old center back, now finalizing terms on a move to the Premier League club. Brighton is interested in left back Angelino from RB Leipzig, reports from Sky in Germany. Seagulls are assessing their option in left back with Chelsea in advanced talks to sign Mark Cucurella, who's been also linked to Manchester City. Former Manchester City defender Angelino faces the prospect of fewer first-team opportunities at Leipzig after they signed David Raum from Hoffenheim. West Ham is also credited with an interest of bringing Angelino into the Premier League. Red Bull Salzburg listening to offers in excess of £45 million for forward Benjamin Sesko, according to iSport. The 19-year-old Slovenia international has been subject of interest with clubs like Manchester United, Chelsea,
and Newcastle. Manchester United defensive duo Eric Bailly and Alex Telles attracting interest from Sevilla, according to the four-letter newspaper. So take that with the amount of salt that you wish. Bailly's also reportedly turned down the chance to reunite with Jose Mourinho at Roma. AC Milan and Fulham also interested in the Ivory Coast international. Newcastle's revised bid for James Maddison is lower than it was earlier claimed. It's understood that the second offer exceeds $40 million, including add-ons. Still falls short of that Leicester evaluation that we were talking about just a little bit ago. Leeds United trio Joe Gelhardt, Sam Greenwood, and Crescencio Somerville have all signed new long-term contracts at Ellen Road. Gelhardt has committed himself to the club until the summer of 2027. Greenwood and Somerville both agreeing to terms until 2026. Kasper Schmeichel set for that move to Nice, undergoing a medical ahead of a transfer agreement reached between the two clubs. 35-year-old looks like it's going to happen in the next 24 hours. Remember, Nice also recently completed the signing of Aaron Ramsey on a free after Juve basically said, there's the door, and we would not like you to be a part of our program anymore. So that's where we are with your transfers and all of the activity going on in England and Europe. And before we go, once again, if there's a piece of news that comes across your table that you want to bring to the table, please feel free to do so anytime when it comes to all the stuff that's going on. There's a lot of stuff, and it's very, very busy. So if there's a piece of information that we missed, then feel free to bring it to the table, and we'll definitely talk about it. Once again, remember, Jared Smith's coming up with his stuff later on today, and keep an eye on the Discord as well for everything that's on Jared's mind as we're moving forward. So, disappointing piece of news out of SI, and it has to do with the NWSL and crypto. And it has to do with a financial partner where the NWSL is reportedly facing financial difficulties, and this is according to our friends at SI. As one of their biggest sponsors, cryptocurrency platform Voyager Digital has filed for bankruptcy, according to Eben Novi-Williams and Emily Caron over at Sportico. The deal with the league was announced back in December, and there was some cash that was involved. But at the same time, half of the value of the agreement designated for individual players to invest in cryptocurrencies via the Voyager platform. With the company now entering Chapter 11, the status of the funds designated for the players is unclear as their accounts were never funded. Following news of Voyager, NWSLPA Executive Director Megan Burke offered reassurances no players would be missing paychecks as a part of this. Voyager's bankruptcy comes as crypto companies have flooded the sports world. NWSL, remember, did get the cash payment that was due as a part of the agreement. Voyager's signage remains present at the venues around the league. As Voyager works through the bankruptcy process, they're looking for a resolution, but it could only, it could happen in months. But, Nick Selby over at SI with the reporting there. But the largest thing to remember in situations like this, and it was also when this first broke yesterday afternoon, some folks looked at the main shirt sponsor for DC United, which is XDC. And XDC is also another cryptocurrency platform. When XDC, as an example, about a year ago came online, the value, I guess, per share, however you want to phrase it, was about 8 cents. Then it doubled within a month to 16 cents. Ever since then, back last September, the value of XDC on the market has gone down past original value of 8 cents, and it's now worth about 4. So the one thing that I have, and this is just me personally, I have never understood the value of investing in something that is imaginary, that has no backing of any kind when it comes to any kind of finances. I've never understood crypto. I've never understood its value, and just have never gotten into it. And for the NWSL, it's disappointing because of what happened, how they managed last season, got through the other side. You're coming up with expansion programs.
You're coming up with great work in Kansas City with the building of a riverfront stadium. Yet you invest in something that myself and a lot of others view as an imaginary thing. And it's dangerous when you do something like that, and you're seeing that right now with Voyager Digital. I know that a lot of folks, for some strange reason, feel like they want me to invest in those kinds of things, and I don't know if this happens to y'all either. I have had so many folks try to have me invest in Forex and crypto and what have you, and they try to friend you on social media to try to convince you to do it. I have zero interest in it. I just find it interesting, and I don't know why folks are reaching out to me specifically. Maybe I'm special. I don't know, but it's just I've found the whole, and maybe it's because I'm an old fuddy-duddy, but I've found all of the crypto stuff to be very, very odd and have no interest in investing in something that's imaginary. And sadly, what we're seeing right now with the NWSL is investing in something imaginary. Yes, half of it was in cash, and now there's obviously a concern about the other half and where Voyager Digital is when it comes to the NWSL. So it's just something to keep an eye on when you're looking at your favorite sports teams. And we're seeing it with DC United, and we're seeing it with the NWSL, sadly, with what we're seeing there. And so disappointing stuff out of the NWSL. Hopefully the players and the league will be fully protected or as best they can when it comes to this kind of stuff. But, disappointing stuff involving Voyager Digital and the NWSL. So on that note, once again, reminder, if there's anything on your mind on a daily basis, let us know. And just a quick reminder a quick update more than anything on Jason. Jason is fighting long COVID. And it's, there's not a lot that folks know, and it's just basically a day at a time. And so with Jason fighting long COVID as best he can, we're trying to continue to give you all the news and information as best we can here at SDH. And we're working on some stuff, and we're working on my lack of technological advancement and hoping to improve that here, especially where the morning show is concerned, because I know a lot of you miss the morning show. And we're going to try and figure out how John can become technologically advanced, maybe, and figure out how to do the morning show in short order in some manner, way, shape, or form. But thank you for all your patience, and thanks for putting up with us, and thanks for still being an active part of the process every single day, letting us know what you think. And remember, you got games tonight in Major League Soccer. One on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. And we've got midweek Whiparound tomorrow as well. We've got 4 matches in the midweek. Red Bulls in Colorado tonight at 7:30. Red Bulls are a -143. Your draw is a +296. And Colorado's a +361. 10 o'clock, Seattle hosting Dallas is a -118. Your draw is a +276. FC Dallas is a +300. And remember, Seattle's got to pack up and come to this end of the country on Saturday afternoon to take on Atlanta United. Atlanta United right now on the minus side, if you believe in juice boxes this many days out. Also today on your grid, there's a lot of stuff going on. And there's club friendlies in Europe that you can look at. You've got Champions League that starts at 1 o'clock this afternoon with our friends at Sheriff Tiraspol. Qualification, 5 matches today, 5 matches tomorrow in Champions League. Sheriff Tiraspol and Victoria Pilsen. That one is supposedly in Moldova. Don't know if it's going to officially qualify as a war zone or not. Ludogorets and Dinamo Zagreb going at it at 1:45. AS Monaco and PSV, an interesting one at 2 o'clock. Royal Union out of Belgium and Rangers going at it. Juice Boxers don't know about that one. They've thrown that one an even number across the board. Benfica and Midtjylland are going at it at 3 o'clock. So Benfica is a big favorite there at a -345. So you've got Champions League qualification going on starting at 1 o'clock. You've got a lot of action going on in Germany as well. And as I'm scanning, a lot of friendlies, a lot of stuff going on in Europe. EFL Cup starting in England at 2:45. You've got action in Scotland, action in Chile. You have Brazil, Liga de Expansión in Mexico. Copa Sudamericana is going on tonight. That one starts at
6:15 and 10:30. Nacional out of Uruguay and Atlético Goianiense out of Brazil. Deportivo Táchira and IDV is at 10:30. IDV is a favorite at plus 138 there with that one. So you've got Copa Sudamericana tonight. You can go to Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. So you can keep up with everything going on in Central and South America. Copa Paraguay is going on tonight. Ecuador CONCACAF League is tonight with our friends from Alajuelense out of Costa Rica against Aguila of El Salvador. Big favorite Alajuelense, no surprise, at a minus 294. Liga Expansión continues at 8:05. Argentina, Brazil. Copa Libertadores is going on tonight. Corinthians and Flamengo out of Brazil going against each other. Flamengo's a plus 140. Liga MX is going on in the midweek tonight. You can catch up with that one on 2 to NA at 9 o'clock with Toluca and Puebla. Toluca's a favorite at a plus 138. CONCACAF League involving our friends Waterhouse out of Jamaica and Pacific out of the Canadian Premier League. Big favorite at a minus 213. Liga Expansión wraps it up at 10:05 as you're watching Seattle NFC Dallas with Dorados and Celaya. So a lot of stuff going on, and we're going to be here to talk about it with you every single day as best we can. Like I said, timing might be a little wonky, but we'll be letting you know what's going on here in the world of SDH. Let us know what's going on in your world as well, whatever thoughts you have on your mind, and we will continue to talk about them as we fight colds and all these other kinds of things on my end. And so I'm apologizing up front for how I sound this morning. Sound a little clogged, but having the cold that we had last week, still getting close to 100%. But thanks for being a part of everything here at SDH. Thanks for being a part of all the conversations that we have, and we'll continue to talk it all out as we've got MLS action here on a Tuesday. For Jason, for Nick, for Jared, I'm just John. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy your busy, busy day when it comes to soccer here at SDH.